Greyhound, Greyhair. Today, we are going to see how good of a team we can draft in the Greyhound on Underdog Fantasy, promo code Davis if you haven't signed up, with absolutely no rookies. My guess is we're probably able to cook up something that we like, but it's not going to have that screenshot appeal. Let's get after it.
It's Short King Summer, dude. It just feels like no one in fantasy sports ever learns anything. Does he mistime it, or is Brock Bowers just a grown man? Brock Bowers is just a grown man. Dare I say, Rich, football might be back. In the words of Lane Johnson, this offense looks constipated. It's Short King Summer.
Look, rookies are certainly the most fun thing to pick in any of these given fantasy drafts, right? We can all wish cast on Ashton Genty, Ted McMillan, Travis Hunter, but sometimes in a smaller contest, only 6,600 entries in this tournament, a $35 single entry. Sometimes you just have to scoop what the room gives you. We are drafting this one out of the 9-hole, so there are actually plenty of veterans for us to take there. I have Christian McCaffrey ranked ahead of his average draft position. Puka Nacua. Genty, who actually goes at pick 9, is not who we are going to be selecting. Boy, I tell you what, I will be awful upset if Ashton Genty is available there at pick 16 somehow, and I have outlaid this challenge to myself. My guess is we are going to get to the end of this exercise, and I'm going to look 1 through 18 on this team in the Greyhound, and I'm really going to like it because to draft a veteran, there are so many guys who are teetering on the age cliff, over the age cliff, that are basically off my board. Someone like Cooper Kupp, who I've ranked 15 spots after average draft position. So the veterans I am drafting are the veterans that I quite like. And so we're either going to get McCaffrey or Puka here. Probably McCaffrey. I mean, that would kind of be my preference actually for this tournament. Much smaller field. I'm trying to get as many shares of McCaffrey early as I can. I expect him to be kind of a riser over the course of the summer. That is who we are going to take. If you have not looked at the structure here, 6,360 entrants, $30,000 to first place. A nice little advanced structure here. Only 1 of 5, 1 of 4 into a 53-seat final. Greyhound, Greyhair. Let's see if we like this team without rookies. All right, we are about to have the absolute worst case scenario here. Okay, never mind. Genty wins. So very simple here. We are just going to take Drake London, another non-rookie, 230 points last season. McCaffrey, London early sets us up for whatever. I did not see that Ashton Genty went here at 6. So there we go. Crisis averted. Christian McCaffrey, Drake London. Just a very easy, non-slappy start. A lot of projectable points there. I am probably not as high on London as the market. I actually have AJ Brown ranked ahead of him. I have more concerns about Penix than the market, but there is no denying that if the Falcons can get to, 547 passing attempts, London is going to have one of the stronger target shares really in all of football. We are back up. We are in a range where we could start thinking about some rookies. If you wanted to, you could take Tet. You could take Travis Hunter here. I am hoping that B. Emmer does not take Marvin Harrison Jr. He does not take Marvin Harrison Jr. This is probably trending a little bit more towards a hero running back team. Breece Hall is available there at pick 40. Never mind. Breece Hall went at pick 25 to my guy, BHO Kevin, which I think is actually a cool thing. So, in these contests, I think that, these smaller single entry time box contests, I think you can be a little bit more aggressive in, quote unquote, getting your guys, because being a market-based drafter, like the way you want to, or theoretically you'd like to be in Best Ball Mania, just doesn't make nearly as much sense because the market forces you are fighting are just not nearly as dramatic. This is basically like the equivalent in terms of the variation of teams is similar to playing, one weekend DFS slate on DraftKings. We are back up here in one pick, and if we were doing Greyhair, I mean, there is not a better Greyhair pick than Davante Adams. So we have Christian McCaffrey, Drake London, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Davante Adams setting us up with guys who finished running back 1, guys who finish wide receiver 1. So there is that's some pretty gray hair. Interesting to see Joe Mixon with no fall here after Nick Chubb's visit with the Houston Texans. We are up on the clock on 1 pick. Look, I would love to take RJ Harvey here, but I have outlaid a mission for myself where we are only taking veteran players. Probably actually fine to take a 4th wide receiver here. There are going to be running backs that I like coming around the turn or even coming around the 6-7 turn as well. So I am going to select, let's see, we've got Penix, we've got, you know what, let's do Jalen Waddle. We're going to select Jalen Waddle. So our wide receiver room is now London, Marvin Harrison Jr., Adams, and Jalen Waddle. All right, we are through the corridor of rookie running backs, so Travion Henderson and RJ Harvey going there. I probably should add a second running back right now. I think there's a pretty big tier break from Connor. Obviously, we can't take Judkins. We can't take Caleb Johnson. I do think there is a relatively large tier break there. So we are going to take James Conner. We are going to take him over some of the other wide receivers sitting there. Dunze, who I would be into, Godwin, Olave. This next group of guys, though, Pearsall, Jaden Reed. I mean, really, you don't want to be taking Diggs or Shakir. In my opinion, I am lower than consensus on those guys. Even Mooney actually could be okay on this team, setting up the Penix double. But now we have our very, very gray-haired running back room of Christian McCaffrey and James Conner. Well, we are headed for absolute max pain here because we are going to have to pass on Caleb Johnson, who is both an ADP value, huge value in my ranks. I don't particularly want to take Josh Downs. I could take TJ Hawkinson here. In fact, that is what I am going to do. I am going to take TJ Hawkinson. It sets up another quarterback for us in JJ McCarthy. We have Tua, Stafford, Kyler, Penix live right now. I think it's more likely that there's a running back that we like that comes around, or we could just take Downs at 82, but we'll see. All right, Downs goes, Purdy goes. I actually would have loved to have taken Ayuk there at 71. We can't take Burden or Igbuka in the rules of this exercise. Well, let's just go ahead and take Kyler. Let's just get it out of the way. We're going to select Kyler Murray. That's a little bit ahead of ADP. A lot of teams in this contest probably will have him in the 9th round. Frankly, though, I don't care as much about that, right? The pods to advance in week 15 and week 16 are much smaller. So uniqueness is just not nearly as big of a deal. And frankly, I don't even think having like a sick ADP value team is nearly as valuable. I mean, comment down below if you think that I am wrong about that. But the team through 8 rounds is Kyler Murray, Christian McCaffrey, James Conner, Drake London, Marvin Harrison Jr., Davante Adams, Jalen Waddle, and TJ Hawkinson. Like it. Don't love it. I mean, it's hard to love it without one of these awesome young rookies, but let's see how we close this out. All right, we are at, again, another spot where I wish that we could have taken a rookie. Trey Harris would be sort of my preferred selection here. I think that Jaylen Warren is a nice compliment. I mean, Jaylen Warren, a little bit older than you think. An absolute slap in. We can't take Jaylen Warren. We could take Justin Fields and just be done at quarterback, and I think that's what we're going to do. I'm going to take Justin Fields here. Maybe could have argued for Bo Nix. I like him a little bit less unstacked, and the best stacking option for Bo Nix is, of course, Pat Bryant, who you can get in round 14 or so. Had to pass on by Shell Tootin. Guys, why did I do this to myself? Not that fun. Again, maybe could have been a little bit of a mistake there. And this pocket, I didn't really realize until doing this exercise, this pocket in terms of the wide receivers, it's all rookies, right? We got Trey Harris. We have Kyle Williams. I guess I could have taken Marvin Mims, but the ADPs did not exactly line up. And I can't take Mason Taylor on this team either. That's why you always got to be on top of the ball. And in fact, if I'm really sticking to this exercise, if I'm really going, you know what, let's go to the total opposite end. You're not taking rookies. Take the dustiest freaking olds that you can imagine. I guess I should have taken Cooper Kupp, but we're going to take Christian Kirk as our wide receiver 5. I think he clearly is a better pick for this team than Sharps, ETN, Javonte. I've got some ideas with what we're going to do in terms of our dusty old running backs to close out this team. But Kirk, I think, fits the theme pretty well. All right, well, we would have lost out on JJ McCarthy anyways because he goes here at pick 125 to add in with Hawkinson. Javonte certainly fits the theme. I think he's probably a pretty bad pick. And I might just do ETN for the ADP value. Okay, he goes. I'm calling those out pretty good. I think we're fine waiting on tight end. So let's just do it. Let's just succumb to the exercise. We're taking dusty, bad old players. I don't have very much Javante. I really probably shouldn't take Javante in a tournament like this that's supposed to be fun. Maybe we'll take Miles Sanders later and just, really complete sort of the Crypt Keeper experiment. All right, looks like Bronco Bully is doing the same experiment as me because he just took DeAndre Hopkins at pick 131. Would be totally fine taking David Njoku here. Would be fine taking Tank Bigsby here. Wide receiver is like super dust, so I think we certainly, there's plenty of, Adam Thielen, I think fits the theme of the gray hair greyhound quite well. Ramondre works. Njoku, I think, is the target here. Need to double check on bye weeks, week 9, week 6. Yep. David Njoku, who just really is David Njoku is one of my favorite picks on the entire board. So we are again set up with yet another nice veteran selection. Perhaps no greater addition to a running back room that already has Christian McCaffrey, James Conner, and Javonte Williams, a.k.a. The fantasy football team that you drafted and were really excited about in 2019. Then to add Austin Eckler, Baby J248 said, that's not happening, brother. We're not going to let it occur. Again, I do need wide receivers on this team, but I think it's more prudent. You know what? I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to take Jalen Wright here at pick 13.9. I like Jalen Wright. I am drafting a Greyhound team that I want to have a chance to, win this tournament. I am not trying to draft a dead team in this tournament. Jalen Wright is technically, letter of the law, not a rookie, right? Certainly not fitting the gray-haired theme, but I think he is just a good pick. And it's a nice little counterbalance, I suppose. It is a counterweight to the super old running back room of McCaffrey, James Conner, and Javonte. Would love to take Pat Bryant here, who I just have been fully ship chasing, pilled on. But I think instead we are just going to do Adam Thielen, mostly for the bit. I think Thielen is a fine pick, but if you're drafting gray hairs and you're not drafting Adam Thielen, you're doing the exercise. For whatever reason, I just don't feel like Michael Wilson is actually that strong of a pick here. I know that we have the double stack set, but frankly, I just don't believe in Kyler Murray's ability to generate that much value. I think if you have Marvin Harrison Jr. and James Conner, you're expecting, your week 17 touchdowns to be set up to those guys. I don't think we actually want Michael Wilson. J.K. Dobbins, perfect pick for this team. Another guy who is really exciting to you. In about 2018, you were super excited about J.K. Dobbins, about 4 lower body leg injuries ago. He's a nice thematic fit here to the running back room, and a guy that I am desperately underweight on the best ball fantasy football teams that I have drafted thus far. Very interesting to see Nick Chubb go here at pick 179. Just sitting here on Monday, June 9th, so I'm recording this way ahead from when you guys are watching this. If you're not a member of the channel, which obviously you should become a member of the channel, hang out with us in Discord, get some other members only benefits. We need another wide receiver. Not really a Jet, not really a Cardinal that we like. So we are going to take AD Mitchell. Obviously like the range of outcomes for the Colts wide receivers better after this Anthony Richardson shoulder injury. So not great, not perfect, but I think AD Mitchell is a fine pick here. My plan on this team was actually to take Miles Sanders. Jacob Sanderson's big on Miles Sanders, like theoretically, obviously in a vacuum, but I think there's an even better old man pick to take. It's actually not Kareem Hunt. I'm going to take an even older man pick. Well, it depends on your perspective. I'm actually going to take Elijah Mitchell here as my 6th running back for 2 reasons. The first being, I actually do think Elijah Mitchell is more likely to be a useful fantasy asset for the Chiefs in 2025 if Pacheco ends up not being the lead rusher. The other is, if that season does in fact happen in this contest, Elijah Mitchell is going to be, there's a chance that if you do take Elijah Mitchell in one of these single entry contests, that you're actually the only team that advances him, right? There are not that many teams drafted in this tournament, right? Only 6,300 individual entries, like a relatively decent chance that you get to week 16 and there are, 53 times 6 teams left, that you're the only one of those teams that has Elijah Mitchell. Very funny to see Kareem Hunt go right after. And again, sticking to the theory of the exercise. So we can't take Io Manor. We can't take Tesla. Amari Cooper would be a hilarious old man pick to take here. But I actually just want to take a guy that I like for once. No Arizona, no Jet. Let's take Elijah Moore. We'll do Elijah Moore. We've gotten a couple good things from camp out of Elijah Moore. I mean, does that mean anything early in June? Probably not, but it's better than nothing. So the Greyhound Greyhair team in the end, Kyler Murray and Justin Fields at quarterback. Feel good about that quarterback room. Christian McCaffrey, James Conner, Javonte Williams, Jalen Wright, J.K. Dobbins, and Elijah Mitchell. Really, the weight of the world is on Christian McCaffrey's shoulders. It's not a particularly bad place to be in, right? If McCaffrey finishes number 1 overall in running back scoring, those teams that draft him in the back half of the first round are going to be absolutely supercharged, right? Because if McCaffrey stays healthy for 17 games, sorry guys, he's outscoring Saquon Barkley. Apologize if that offends you. Wide receiver room, Drake London, Marvin Harrison Jr., Davante Adams, Jalen Waddle, Christian Kirk, Old Man Thielen, A.D. Mitchell, and Elijah Moore. Don't really have, in my opinion, the absolute ceiling there. I don't think any of these guys is capable of a mega nuke season. Potentially Marvin Harrison Jr. if he kind of lives up to his prospect profile. And then a tight end room of the perfectly cromulent veterans, TJ Hawkinson and David Njoku. Everyone, make sure that you like this video. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel for daily fantasy football videos. And I will see you guys all back on the channel tomorrow.